Hey, how's it going? Adrienne Elise here. I just want to pop in and talk about what's going on in the planets and the stars right now. We've had a big shift of energy with that new moon in Gemini that happened on Wednesday. And now we're feeling some intense planetary aspects. So right around that new moon, Venus and Mercury both moved into new signs. So these are our personal planets. And when they shift signs, we kind of feel it in our everyday life. And so it's kind of a shift of energy because Venus moved into Leo, the sign of Leo, and Mercury then moved into Cancer. So Venus was in Cancer, and it kind of like they're switching positions here. And what this means is, what the deal with this too is that not just did they switch signs, but they are both in really intense aspects with more broader the planets, the extra personal planets that relate to our whole generational feeling of our whole times. So we're kind of, when these planetary aspects happen, we're always looking at what are the bigger revolutionary, evolutionary changes that are happening? How are these manifesting in our everyday life? So we've got Venus moved into the sign of Leo. Now this is potent because it's coming up to the North Node, and the North Node is in Leo. It has been for the last year or so and will be for another few months. It's a really potent time. The North Node is our future karma. It's like, how are we getting to where we're trying to go? How do we get there? What do we need to do? And so with the North Node in Leo, it's about shining our individual light, being willing to claim our individual self-expression, claim our joy, claim our childhood energy. So Venus is coming into Leo, triggering these nodes, and it triggering the North Node and the South Node, the North Node in Leo, South Node in Aquarius, and coming up to a square with Uranus, the ruler of Aquarius, in Taurus. Okay, so this is really potent because we've had this Pluto Uranus Square thing for since 2011. We've been feeling the influence of it just until this last year. And now they're not in square anymore, but as the personal planets come along, they square up with these, or, they trigger the Pluto Uranus Square still energy. So before this new moon, Venus came into that opposition with Pluto, and now is in this square with Uranus. Now, the thing is here, though, is that this is like one of the first squares that's happened, or triggers of Uranus that's happened since it's moved into the sign of Taurus. So Taurus is a fixed sign, and the Pluto-Uranus square of this last 7-8 years has been in cardinal signs. So cardinal signs are starters, beginners, let's go. And it's kind of like trying to bring in this new change, this new revolution. It's kind of an impulsive energy. So it's kind of interesting that that Leo is triggering Uranus right now from a fixed sign. So Venus was just in Cancer, which it is a cardinal sign, now having moved into Leo. So Leo, the fixed signs are a little bit more stable energetically, and it's about, let's bring it into form, let's complete it, let's make it happen. So this is really intense, and so because it's highlighting this Uranus moving into the sign of Taurus, and it's a huge shift. This next 8 years, very different than the previous 8 years. And so Venus squaring up with Uranus is talking about the value system and what we need to do to move into this, so it's triggering that North Node and saying that our individual creative expression has to be paramount as we build this new society. This is the medicine for right now. The South Node in Aquarius is about losing our individuality to technology. That's the pain and the shadow side of Aquarius, and losing our sense of individual self, and kind of allowing for groupthink or technological mind control to take over our individual consciousness, okay? And so Venus and Leo is saying, Venus is our value system, so it really matters to us. And, triggering the North Node there, it's saying, hey, our individual creative expression, that is how we claim our spiritual autonomy. That's how we claim the energy of this world, is to maintain, and you can see this in your life, right? Like how easy it is to get pulled into technology, like you're just, searching on Facebook or whatever, and how different that energy is You can learn a lot of things, share a lot of things. It can be a great tool, right? But the process of creative expression and that individual way of doing things and being creative, that spark of life, this like the joy, it's like Leo rules this joy of childhood and the fundamental joy that's available to all of us, but we've been kind of entrained to think that we have to live this humdrum life. The humdrum life is in getting addicted to technology, okay? And so our individual creative expression is so important. And so Venus squaring up with Uranus is talking about this. It's about this new world that we're trying to bring, the light we're trying to anchor in on planet Earth, and it has to do with this unique individual creative expression that's what's gonna, it's absolutely necessary that we value that in order to create this new world. Now, Mercury moved into Cancer this week, and so Mercury is the ruler of Gemini. So with the sun still in Gemini, it's very exalted, and it's kind of in Cancer. So Gemini wants to understand and kind of like discuss and talk about and that kind of thing and have a conceptual reality. Cancer's kind of like way emotional, right? So there is some emotional energy going on right now a little bit because Neptune in Pisces is ready. It's pretty much stationed, turning retrograde. And so that's coming up here on Monday, but we're feeling it already. And Neptune in the middle, smack dab in the middle of Pisces, it's home sign. And it's just kind of like, when it turns retrograde, you just really feel it. Not for the whole retrograde, but as it's shifting, a lot of times you'll feel the bigger planets. The retrograde itself you don't necessarily feel it. Like Mercury retrograde is only 3 weeks. These retrogrades are longer and you don't necessarily notice while the planet is stationed, but when it's turning is when you really notice it. And so we're kind of feeling this pull to the past because we're still reconciling the Piscean age where we, there's a lot of pain and trauma and our soul memory. And so there's this feeling of kind of regret or kind of like loss, grief kind of energy coming up right now. But it's speaking to the past. And this is really important because it's like we get so caught up. This is what's going on. I feel like if the message is coming through in sessions right now is that our world is changing and we're not really seeing that in our 3D reality so much, but we're feeling it, but it's not being validated. And so when things are changing, it often feels like they're actually going backwards because you have to resolve, you have to let go, you have to have a healing crisis. You can't move into the new until you can resolve the past. And so these things are coming up because it's like, hey, you thought you dealt with this, but it's still, blooming yet again. And it's like, oh God. And so it's interesting though, because we get attached to the past, even though these patterns might be unhealthy, they're what we know. And it's what makes us feel comfortable. So this is what's really going on in the world. A lot of times people are like, I want it to change. I want it to change. I want my life to change. But then when it does start to change, it's like this uncomfortable, I could maybe describe it as like an ego death, because it's like the way you thought it was isn't the way it is. But what if the way that you're moving into is way beyond, like so awesome that you can't even conceive of it? But we're too stuck in the past, the way things were, and letting go of our idea of how we thought it should be. And this is what's going on, like wherever in your life, there's this kind of regret in the past and like kind of unexpressed expression, that Venus and Leo, that unexpressed creative expression. And I've wasted my life. And what have I been doing? And I thought I was going to be doing this at this point. And I thought I was going to be with this person. And it's just like, it's painful and uncomfortable. Ego death is because it's like letting go of your conceptual base of what you thought it was, who you thought you were, but it's like absolutely necessary to move forward. But it sucks while it's happening. When you get through those things, you look back and you're like, oh, now I understand why it was so hard. I was just not allowing this new energy to come in. So this is the picture. It's hard to explain like in words and concepts, but the picture that I'm getting, it's almost like we have these constructed reality ideas of what we thought it was. And it's also made up of belief systems and contracts and responsibilities to other people and all this stuff. But it's almost like it's a structure that's holding us. And even if it's unhealthy and it's outmoded, it doesn't fit who we really are anymore, but it's still there supporting us, right? And you tear that down and people are like, I want to release this. I want to heal. I want to, this and that and the other thing. But like that process of healing, of peeling back those support systems can be painful. It can feel like you're losing everything, like losing your whole sense of concept of who you are. This is a beautiful, good thing, but it sucks while it's happening. And so, but the message that's coming in is that, like, you guys, let go of the walls, let go of those walls, those structures, like who you thought you were. Like, it's not who you are. And so why cling to it? But the feeling is that there's nothing that's going to be there to hold me as I let go of these structures, right? It's this feeling of like, I'm just dissolving into nothing, right? But actually the picture that I've been seeing in individual sessions, the messages coming through is that actually there's this whole energetic field trying to move into your life. It's there and it wants to support you in a whole new way than what you even know. But it's like, until you can let go of the false structures, then this energy can't land. But just to trust when you're going through those hard times of like letting go of the way you thought it was going to be and the regret and just getting out of the past and, and ways you thought you should have maybe done it better and all that's coming up right now. It's like remembering that you're making space for this new energy to catch you and hold you. And this isn't like walls, okay? It's like a bubble and it's beautiful. And it's a feeling of like being carried through life and moving in, claiming your energetic field and your own power and your own energy to do what you want to do here. And, you can't, when you're attached to the walls that we all get to, attached to, because this is the way we know it. And even if it's painful, it's still comfortable on some level, but then you can't feel that energy bubble coming in to hold you and carry you into this new age. So that Uranus moving into Taurus is really speaking to this of landing the light on planet Earth and bringing in this whole new energetic paradigm. And so with that Venus square Uranus now in the fixed signs and Venus in Leo saying, hey, claim that individual spiritual light, that your connection, your shining, your power, your way of expressing, your unique individual way of expressing it, your joy. So it's kind of this bigger picture of like, what you thought brought you joy and what you thought you wanted isn't actually what's going to bring you the joy that's possible. So it's a very strange place right now. Things are really shifting, and know that when you're getting to those uncomfortable places, it's about, letting go of these structures that are not healthy anymore, even though they feel like they're healthy because they feel like they're at least a support system. Okay. So we got to like completely release and let go in order for this new support system to come in, which is more energetic and beautiful, and just a feeling of like floating and moving through life with the universe at your back as you arrive into your timeline, arrive into your most optimal timeline, into this beautiful set of skills you brought to planet Earth, and like kind of being able to finally use all of your skills and energy and beautiful gifts that you've worked on for many, many lifetimes and evolutions here on planet Earth. You've been waiting and waiting for this time, and now is the time, but it's going to take some complete letting go of all the false constructs of your reality and all the false things that have been belief systems and programming that's been keeping you in that cage, and it's like, my cage is breaking. My world is falling apart. This is horrible. And so no, this is a really, really good thing, because you're moving from the cage into the garden. And that's what you're here for. And it's a beautiful thing. So thank you for sticking with it and staying here on the planet and breathing and being who you are and bringing the light and holding the vision of what you know is possible. And keep up the good work. And this new world is landing home as we can let go of the old one. So I will see you next time. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.